Okay, real talk. If someone walks up to you right now and says, "So, tell me about yourself," what do you say?
I panic. That's what I say. I panic quietly on the inside while my mouth is doing absolutely nothing useful.
And that is exactly why we are here today. Because that question, "Tell me about yourself," it sounds so simple. It sounds like the easiest question in the world. And yet it freezes almost everyone.
Even people who talk a lot, even confident people, even people who literally talk for a living.
Even those people. So, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to our English podcast for daily life conversations. I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. And today we are going deep on one topic that every single English learner needs: how to talk about yourself with real confidence.
Not textbook confidence. Not memorized speech confidence. Real, natural, warm confidence. The kind that makes someone think, okay, I like this person. Tell me more.
And we are going to break it down step by step. Introductions, your background, your personality, your hobbies, your goals. All of it, with real phrases you can actually use.
Plus, at the end, we have a vocabulary section where we pull out the most useful words and expressions from today and show you exactly how to use them in daily life.
So get comfortable. This is going to be a good one. Let's start with the big question. Why is talking about yourself so hard? Because honestly, it should not be.
You would think so, right? You have been living your own life for your entire life. Nobody knows you better than you. And yet someone asks about you and suddenly your brain just goes completely blank.
Total blank. Like someone pulled the plug.
I think part of it is that the question is too open. There are no walls around it. Do I talk about my job? My family? Where I grew up? What I had for breakfast? Where do I even start?
And there is also something else happening. A lot of people feel self-conscious when they talk about themselves. You start wondering, am I saying too much? Am I boring them? Do I sound like I'm showing off?
Self-conscious. Let's actually stop on that word for a second because it is really important. Self-conscious means you become very aware of yourself, how you look, how you sound, what other people might be thinking about you. And instead of just talking naturally, you are talking and judging yourself at the same time.
Which is exhausting. It is double the work for your brain.
And for English learners, it is actually triple the work. You are thinking about what to say, how to say it in English, and worrying about how you come across. No wonder it feels hard.
But here is the thing we really want you to hear today. That nervous feeling? Completely normal. It does not mean your English is bad. It does not mean you are bad at conversation. It means you are human.
Exactly. Talking about yourself is a skill. And skills can be learned. Skills can be practiced. And skills get better over time. So that is what we are doing today, building this skill together.
Step by step. Phrase by phrase. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. You meet someone new. What actually comes out of your mouth first?
Right. And most people learned in English class to say something like, "Hello. My name is David. I am from Brazil. I am 28 years old. I work as an engineer."
And then complete silence while everyone waits for something interesting to happen.
It sounds like you are reading from an official document. Very accurate. Very stiff. Zero personality.
The problem is not the information. The information is fine. The problem is there is nothing there for the other person to grab onto. Nothing that invites a response. It is just a list of facts about a human being.
So, what does a good introduction actually look like? A good introduction does three things. It gives your name. It gives one piece of natural context about your life. And it adds one small human detail that makes the other person curious.
One small detail. That is all it takes.
For example, instead of, "My name is Sarah. I am from Spain," you might say, "Hey, I'm Sarah. I grew up in Spain, but I have been living abroad for a few years now. Honestly, I think I miss the food more than anything else."
And now I have three things I want to ask you about. Where abroad? How long? And most importantly, which food?
The conversation is already moving. All because of one small honest detail. The detail does not have to be impressive. It does not have to be dramatic. It just has to be real.
You could say, I'm David. I'm originally from a small town, which means big cities still feel a little overwhelming to me sometimes. Very relatable. Very human.
Or, I'm Sarah. I work in education, and honestly, it has completely changed how I see people. Very natural. And now someone wants to ask, changed how, in what way?
Every good introduction opens a small door. It gives the other person a reason to walk through and keep talking. That is the whole goal.
And think about first impressions here. A first impression is the very first feeling someone gets about you, before they really know you. It forms fast, sometimes within the first 30 seconds of a conversation.
Which sounds scary, but actually it is good news. Because a great first impression does not require a perfect speech. It just requires warmth, a little personality, and one genuine detail.
Anyone can do that. Okay, so you have introduced yourself. The conversation is going. And now someone says, so, what is your background? Where are you from? How did you get here?
And suddenly it feels like someone asked you to write your autobiography in 60 seconds.
But it does not have to be that way. The secret to talking about your background naturally is tell a short story, not a list. A story.
What is the difference?
A list sounds like this: I am from Mexico. I studied business. I worked in finance for 4 years. Now I live in Canada. Finished.
Very efficient. Also very forgettable.
A story sounds like this: I grew up in Mexico City, which is this huge, loud, beautiful city. I studied business there, and then I ended up in Canada a few years ago for work. And honestly, I was not planning to stay, but here I am.
Same facts. Completely different feeling. The second one sounds like a person. The first one sounds like a form.
And notice the small phrases that make the difference. I grew up in, that is warmer than I am from. I ended up, that sounds real because life does not always go according to plan. And honestly, that little word makes everything feel more natural and personal.
These days I am based in is another very useful one. Or I have been living in for about 2 years now. They give a sense of where your life is right now without sounding too formal.
And if your background is a little complicated, maybe you have lived in several places, or you changed careers, or your path was not straight, that is actually interesting. Do not hide it. Use it.
You can say, my path has been a little all over the place honestly, but I think that is what makes it interesting. And people lean in because nobody has a perfectly straight path.
Connect your past and your present. Show the journey. That is what makes a background feel like a real human story instead of a job application.
Beautifully said. Okay, next one. Someone asks, so how would you describe yourself as a person? And this is where things get uncomfortable.
Because suddenly everyone says the same things. I am hardworking. I am passionate. I am a team player.
I am results-oriented. I am detail-oriented. I am a people person.
What does any of that actually mean? Those phrases have been repeated so many times they have completely lost their meaning.
So how do you describe your personality in a way that actually sounds like you and not like a LinkedIn profile?
The answer is stop telling and start showing. Instead of just saying I am curious, say something that shows your curiosity. Instead of just saying I am funny, give a small example of your humor.
For example, instead of saying, I am very organized, you could say, I am the kind of person who makes a plan for everything. Honestly, even my weekends have a loose schedule.
Now I can picture you. I can imagine you in real life. That is so much more interesting than just organized.
Or instead of I am curious, you say, I tend to get very deep into topics that interest me. Like I will spend 3 hours reading about something I just heard about for the first time. That is curiosity shown, not just named.
A few phrases that really help here. I tend to be pretty calm under pressure, or I tend to overthink things a little. It sounds honest and self-aware, not stiff.
People say I am, Like people say I am easy to talk to or people say I can be a bit too direct sometimes. This is great because you are showing how others experience you.
And I am the kind of person who, this one is so useful. I am the kind of person who remembers small details about people. Or I am the kind of person who needs 10 minutes alone after a big social event to recharge.
That last one is very specific and very real, and now I feel like I know you a little.
Exactly. Specific always beats general when you are describing personality. And you do not have to only mention your good qualities. Mentioning something small you are working on actually makes you more likable.
Because nobody connects with someone who sounds perfect. We connect with people who feel human, a little imperfect, real.
Something like, I am pretty good at starting things. Finishing them is where I need a little work. Very honest. Very relatable. And suddenly you are interesting.
Okay, let's talk about hobbies. And this is where conversations either come alive or completely fall flat.
Because the flat version sounds like, I like reading. I like cooking. I like going for walks. And then a very polite silence follows.
Nothing wrong with those hobbies. The problem is there is no feeling in them, no texture, no reason to ask a follow-up question.
But when you talk about your hobbies the way you actually feel about them, the conversation completely changes. A phrase that helps enormously here is I am really into.
What does that mean compared to I like?
I like is neutral. I am really into means this genuinely excites me. I am engaged with this. Ask me more about this. It signals enthusiasm.
So instead of I like running, you might say, I have really gotten into running lately. I started about 6 months ago, and I cannot believe how much I look forward to it now. I never thought I would be that person.
And now I want to know what changed. What made you start? What does being that person feel like? The conversation has 10 directions it can go.
Or for something like reading, instead of I like reading, you could say, I am really into historical fiction right now. There is something about reading history through a story that makes it feel so much more alive than a textbook.
Now I know what you read, why you love it, and what it gives you. That is a hobby described with real feeling.
Add one specific detail, why you love it, how you got into it, a small story around it. That is all it takes to make a hobby feel interesting.
And do not be afraid to show enthusiasm. When someone talks about something they genuinely love, it is magnetic. People lean in. Enthusiasm is honest energy and people can feel it.
Okay, goals and dreams. This is the one that makes people feel most vulnerable, I think.
Because saying your goals out loud means letting someone see what you want. And then the fear comes, what if I do not reach it? What if they think it is too small? Too big? What if they judge me?
And that fear makes people either say nothing at all or say something very safe and very vague like, I just want to be happy.
Which is beautiful but not very specific. And specific is what makes goals interesting in conversation.
So how do you talk about your goals in a way that sounds confident but also honest and human?
First, you do not have to share your biggest, deepest dream right away. You can start small. Something I am working towards this year is very natural, very approachable.
Like, something I am working towards this year is improving my English and honestly, just feeling more comfortable in conversations. That is real. That is a goal. And it connects with anyone who has ever learned a language.
Or, I am at a point where I want to be more intentional about how I spend my time. That sounds mature and honest. And at a point where is a great phrase because it shows where you are right now in your life.
And one day I want to is beautiful for bigger dreams because one day softens it. It says this matters to me, but I am not putting pressure on tomorrow.
Like, one day I want to live somewhere completely new for at least a year. Just to see what that feels like. Very human. Very wandering. And now I want to ask where? Why?
The key is to connect your goal to your why. Not just what you want, but why you want it. What does it mean to you?
Because a goal without a why is just a statement. A goal with a why is a window into who you are.
Instead of, I want to start a business. You say, I want to start a business because I want to build something that is completely mine. Something I can be proud of regardless of how big it gets.
Immediately more interesting. Immediately more real. And now the conversation has somewhere to go.
And it is completely okay to say, I am not totally sure yet, but I know I want to move in this direction. That is honest. That is still confident. Pretending you have everything figured out is not confidence. That is performance.
Real confidence is saying where you honestly are, calmly and clearly. That is the version people trust.
Okay, last piece. How do you sound confident without sounding like you are bragging? Because that line can feel very thin.
The phrase come across is really useful here. Come across means how other people perceive you, how they receive your words and your energy. You can come across as confident. You can come across as warm. You can also accidentally come across as arrogant even if that is not your intention.
So how do you stay on the right side of that line?
The difference between confidence and arrogance is actually pretty simple. Confident people share what they have done. Arrogant people use what they have done to make others feel smaller.
I worked really hard on this, and I am proud of how it turned out. That is confidence.
I am probably the best person for this. That is arrogance. And people feel that difference immediately.
Confident people also ask questions. They listen. Real confidence includes being genuinely curious about the other person. It is not a monologue. It is a conversation.
A phrase that strikes a perfect balance, I am really proud of. You can say that without sounding arrogant because it is personal. It is about your own feeling, not a comparison to anyone else.
Or, one thing I have learned about myself is, that phrase shows self-awareness. And self-aware people always come across as mature and trustworthy.
And here is something important. Confidence is not the absence of imperfection. It is continuing despite it. You do not need perfect English to sound confident. You need honest English. Real sentences spoken with calm energy.
And being humble helps enormously here. Humble does not mean putting yourself down. Humble means you know your value, and you still treat everyone else like they have value too.
I have worked hard at this, and I still have so much to learn. That is a humble person. Easy to be around. Confident, but not loud about it.
Okay, let's bring it all together. Real phrases, natural English, sentences you can take, practice, and actually use.
For introducing yourself, hi, I am Sarah. I am originally from Spain, but I have been living abroad for a few years. I think I miss the food most honestly.
Or, I am David. I am based in the city now, but I grew up somewhere much smaller. Big cities still surprise me sometimes.
For background, I grew up in a pretty small community, so moving to a big city felt like a completely different world at first.
Or, I studied science at university, which surprises people because now I work in something very creative. But honestly, the two things connect more than you would think.
For personality, I tend to be quiet when I first meet people, but I warm up pretty quickly. I am the kind of person who takes a little time but then goes all in.
Or, people say I am very direct, which is true. I am working on making it a little gentler.
For hobbies, I have really gotten into cooking lately. I started just as something to do, and now it is genuinely the part of my day I look forward to most.
Or, I am really into documentaries. Something about real stories just pulls me in completely.
For goals, something I am working towards this year is being more consistent with the things that actually matter to me.
Or, one day I want to write something. I do not know exactly what yet, but the feeling is very strong and very clear.
And to keep conversations going, it is a long story, but the short version is, or, that is actually a really good question, let me think. Or, funny you should ask that because.
These phrases do not just fill silence. They keep the energy warm. They show you are engaged. They make conversations feel natural and easy.
And remember, none of these are scripts you need to memorize perfectly. They're tools. Pick the ones that feel like you. Say them out loud. Make them yours.
Because the goal was never to sound like someone else. The goal is to sound like yourself, just with clearer, more confident, more natural English.
And that brings us to the word section. Let's pull out the most important vocabulary from today and make sure it really sticks.
First word, self-conscious. This means you feel very aware of yourself and worried about what others think. You can say, I feel self-conscious speaking English in new situations. Or, she became self-conscious during the presentation and lost her place.
Next, first impression. The first opinion someone forms about you when they meet you. I want to make a warm first impression at the interview. His first impression was quiet, but very thoughtful.
Background. Your personal history. Where you grew up, studied, worked. My background is in design, but now I work in marketing. We come from very different backgrounds, but we understand each other well.
Come across. How other people perceive you. I want to come across as confident but approachable. He comes across as very calm even in difficult situations.
Humble. Confident, but grounded. Not arrogant. She is incredibly talented, but stays very humble about it. Being humble means you keep learning even when you are already good.
Passionate about. Strong genuine interest or love for something. I am passionate about language and how it connects people. He is passionate about photography and carries his camera everywhere.
Warm up. To become more relaxed and comfortable. I always warm up after the first few minutes of a conversation. She was quiet at first, but warmed up quickly once she felt comfortable.
Working towards. Making steady progress on a goal. I am working towards speaking English more confidently every day. She has been working towards her certification for 6 months.
And finally, confidence. Trusting yourself enough to speak and try even when it is not perfect. The more I practice, the more confidence I feel. He answered every question with calm, quiet confidence.
These words and phrases are your tools now. You do not need all of them today. Start with 2 or 3. Use them in real conversations. Let them become natural.
And to everyone listening, you already have the most important thing. You have your story. You have your background, your personality, your hobbies, your goals. All of that is already there.
We are just helping you find the English words to share it naturally, confidently, in a way that makes people think, yes. Tell me more about you.
So today, try one thing. Write one sentence about yourself. Practice saying it out loud. Make it honest. Make it specific. Make it yours.
Because your story deserves to be told well, and you are more than ready to tell it.
This has been your English podcast for daily life conversations. I am David.
And I am Sarah. Keep practicing, keep showing up, and keep putting your real self into your English. See you next time.